Hey y'all, hey, it's a video. So welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a minute and it's gonna always be a minute. Let me just keep it real. I'm gonna drop videos when I get a chance and when I feel like it. It'd be a lot going on. So welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do this video on the topic of the importance and the reason why many breeders are beginning or have vetted their customers for the purchase of larger constrictors. Stay tuned. All right, y'all, so as we get into this video, there are active retics around us. There are animals out, so if something fall, crash over, or anything like that, it's part of real life for me, okay? But I wanted to get this video out really fast because I think it's an important topic, especially this is my second year with actually selling reticulated pythons, and I will tell you that there's a whole different process that I use for the sale of reticulated pythons and Burmese pythons, but not as much with the retics, and I'll tell you why. And it's all based on reputation. Most people, you can have a defensive Burmese python and you can have a defensive retic, and because of the reputation that it's getting better but kind of existed for reticulated pythons, most people will work more with a defensive Burmese python and not a reticulated python because they assume that that baby could never be manageable. Now, I know there's some people who keep animals that they never could quite tame down. I truly believe that is more or less now, because we are so much more further into the breeding of these animals and us being further into different generations, that the animals are typically very chill animals for the most part. I can say here in this house, I don't have not one animal that I can't work with, one animal that I didn't work with or wouldn't work with. The most defensive I've ever gotten out of any of my animals is when I first got my first reticulated python, and it was clearly me just learning her and her learning me, and her being in a new environment. Like I said, if you hear something crash, there's a reticulated python over there. Here it comes. There you go. I know it's coming. She knocked something over. And I think it was more of, for me, just being intimidated by her being one of the biggest babies I ever received. Number one, right? And it wasn't a thing more of, it was her, it was more of a me thing, you know? And so we kind of just figured each other out, and that instantly just went away, right? But the vetting process is important to me as a breeder, is because when I sell my animals, and I do understand that sometimes I'm selling to people who are going to have future breeding plans. So I do understand that in some cases, those animals may not be with their breeder forever. However, I do want to set a precedent that that person used the same vetting process to determine where their animal moves on to in the future. There's nothing more pleasurable, and I'm sure any breeder will tell you from a breeding standpoint, to see the animal that you created as an adult and being cared for in someone's hands, you know, that really cared for the animal. And a lot of times people even ask me with my animals, and it's just a fact. If you're getting the animal from me, the animal is going to be chill. I'm not going to send it to you if it's not. And so, but my babies come out very chill and they stay that way. But I tell people when they ask me about the temperament, I always reference mom and dad are this way. But you know, I can't guarantee you that you have this animal for a year, and then let's say, or two, let's say 3 years, let's just go 3 years, and then that male is in breeding mode, and I can't guarantee you that his personality in breeding mode is going to be just like his dad, Hefe, who is the chillest, most wanting to breed animal ever, okay? But his behaviors is just to arching, you know. He's not doing, he just doesn't do anything outside of that. He's not bumpy or anything. He's very chill. He just want to arch. He want to feel you. He want to press up on you, press up on a table, you know, press up on a refrigerator, stuff like that. And that just keeps them happy. But you could have baby who was very chill, and let's say that male is in breeding mode, and maybe he turns into this hormonal animal who may be a little bit more challenging to handle at that point. My expectation when I'm asking and when I'm talking to my customers is the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? And those answers mean a lot to me. For example, one of the questions I ask is, have you ever owned reticulated pythons before, or do you own them now? And if someone says, no, I don't own them now, I owned them before, then I'll follow up with, why did you get rid of them? I got rid of them because, I started to travel a lot. I got very, very busy, this, and this. So to me, when we take on animals who's going to, in a healthy environment, live very long time, these are all the things we have to consider before we purchase the animal. So for me, for example, we love to travel. I have someone who comes here every single time we travel. That's something that I had to think about before I decided to go this far into these animals with the care and the breeding. So I had to think about who's going to be the babysitter, right? Just like we do our children, who's going to be the babysitter. And with other animals, you might not have to think like that as much, you know what I'm saying? But reticulated pythons, for several reasons, and not even if you have a situation where, let's say you have the secure enclosure, you feed them really, really well. There's so many things that could still go wrong. Let's say, for instance, there is a loss of power and you're not there. Let's say if you have some type of system that when the power resets, you literally have to also reset those thermostats or something like that, or the breaker that those thermostats are on. No one's there to do that. For me, I have to be comfortable when I'm gone for days that and things have happened like while we've been gone, and I'm able to coach the babysitter, the snake sitter, who happens to be my favorite nephew, through it to, quickly manage the situation. So those are things that you have to think about. Another thing that people should consider is I always show them dad, for example, or my largest female, which is not the mom of my last two clutches. My largest female is actually younger than the mom of my last two clutches. She's the Motley Tiger, and she's a big girl. So I'll show them that, because a lot of times that cute little baby is so intriguing, especially when you're just scanning through Morph Market or you scanning through a website and you see this really, really cute, colorful, morphed animal. You want it, right? But you don't realize that that animal gets really, really heavy. And I know a lot of us, especially my woman, we make it look so easy when we handle these big animals, but it's relationship based. Like Hefe, who's really huge, actually, I'm gonna open his door. He may or may not come up on me while we are doing this video, but he does want to come out. But I don't want him to knock everything over, so I'm gonna open his door. But if he comes out, we'll use him for an example. All right, so what we're going to do, we'll talk while he comes out. But to keep him from, so y'all see him arching. He's actually in breeding mode as we speak. He's always in breeding mode though. You'll see him coming out. But I like to show Hefe to my customers when they get the baby and let them see realistically how big that animal is going to be in a very short amount of time, I show them pictures of the mom and dad at 1 year old, 2 years old, and then of course, dad being the largest out of the two. I show them dad, who, as you can see, he is still coming out. Y'all see that? Baby wants to make babies. This Burmese python right in front of him is actually cycling, but we don't do bad eaters here. So that is definitely an important part, I think, of the vetting process. Now, is there ever a time that I will make an exception to sell someone a reticulated python who hasn't kept one before? Yes, when they've kept a Burmese python, because I'm a true believer that if you can keep one, you can keep the other. Although people think overall Burmese pythons are chiller than retics, it depends on how you determine what chill is. The only thing that the difference is for me is that your retic is going to be way more active, moving way faster. Like he is on a whole mission now. But that's it for the most part. So yes, I will make the exception if you kept a Burmese. If you have a very large boa constrictors, large boas are very powerful. And they have a strong feed response, you know. So those are things that I will make the exception for. And anybody who is close enough to me that I can give them hands-on experience before them purchasing the animal. Or someone who I refer people sometimes, especially people in Texas. It's so many breeders in Texas. Won't you buy the animal? Especially if it's an animal that I know that somebody in that area would have. If you was interested in something that I have and that animal may be somewhere in Texas, won't you go a little closer, handle some of that person's animals, or see how heavy mom and dad for that person is, and then determine if you really want to make that. Because ultimately and finally, the main reason why we want to vet our customers is because yes, we do care. I know I care about the life of my animals. I understand that there are going to be times that animals don't live the term of their life, but let that be for natural reasons, not because someone released them into the wild, which hurts all of us, not because someone neglects the animal, which hurts all of us. You know, I wanted to be in a situation where the image of us as keepers and the image of how we keep and the mindset behind impulsive purchasing behind these animals are thought of by us, the individual first, by the breeder who's selling it and the person who is purchasing. Those are real candid conversations that I think every breeder should have. Like, I understand some people just do it for the money and they just, you know, sell the animals to whoever wants to buy them. I'm really big on, I don't want you to flip my animals, you know. So if you're purchasing the animal to flip it, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. I like the thought of my animals being with someone forever. And so a lot of my vetting questions is designed around that, and the person's capacity to keep that animal healthy, provide its largest enclosure that it may or may not need. Y'all notice I say may or may not need. And the time and the space for those animals to thrive. And for you to build that relationship with the animal. So yeah, quick video. Well, it wasn't really quick, but yeah. But here y'all go. And again, I'm not going to commit, but I'm going to do them when the opportunities arise. Like today was a perfect opportunity to share this information while it was fresh on my heart, and to also let my animals out. So see y'all soon.